All right, we want to welcome into the show Stu Donald of the Sip and Chew with Mike and Stu show. And Stu, great to have you with us as always. Time to talk some college football. I know you're looking forward to that, looking forward to the weekend. And we want to ask you first, though, as we always do, what is stewing for this weekend?
Well, California is the largest producer of avocados in the country. Mm-hmm. And it should be no mystery to anybody that avocado toast, a very popular brunch dish now, was created in Northern California in Berkeley, where Cal is headquartered from.
Right.
So all I want to do, I always like to borrow from our opponents as kind of a welcome to town. Sorry about the whooping. So here's some culture. So I want to take the avocado toast, but I want to put it on a Gulf Coast spin. I want to add a little Cajun shrimp on top and some Hall's Andouille sausage. Made right here in Mobile in Chickasaw. It's just the best andouille sausage that I've ever worked with. So why not keep it good and local, a good Alabama product, and just make your regular avocado toast however you like to make it, and just add some shrimp that you grill with Cajun seasoning on it and brown up a little of the andouille sausage and put it on there. And if you've never made avocado toast before, it's so easy. Make some toast. Get some guacamole and spread it across the top. And then generally it's topped with a bunch of what's called cotija cheese. It's a Mexican crumbly cheese, but it's kind of sweet, not like feta. It's much milder. And a ton of that. And then you put a little chili powder, a little lime squeeze, and bacon is what normally goes on there to give you a little salt and a little sin to go with all the other healthy stuff. But I'm switching it up with the andouille and then the grilled shrimp, because Gulf of Mexico's got the best shrimp in the world.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
In your guacamole, you're talking about putting stuff on top, right? With the bacon
Right.
and what sausage or whatever.
Yeah.
In your guacamole, do you put tomatoes and all that stuff in there? I've heard the guy that I watch says don't put that in there. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like tomatoes in the guacamole.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. And I'm saying, if you don't want to make guacamole, go to the grocery store. There's really good guacamole in the produce department. A bunch of different brands are good. Try them and get the one you like the best.
Yeah. And they're really pretty natural now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a very healthy fat. It's very fat. There's a lot of fat in avocado, but it's a very healthy fat, a polyunsaturated, which is the same thing you find in olive oil, canola oil, duck fat also is polyunsaturated. It's a very healthy oil or fat, however you want to call it. But there's also antioxidants. It's got that bright green color. And anytime you see bright or bold colors in produce, that means they're packed with nutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Yeah. So the avocado toast is a really healthy dish. Get the healthiest bread you can, or whatever you like. If you like bunny bread, use bunny bread. I like a good, multi-grain for doing this, something that's going to have, especially if it's got like oats on top of it or sesame seeds or something like that. Just, embrace the California of this dish, because it is popular for a reason. And one of those reasons is it's healthy, but it's also darn delicious.
Yeah. With your bread comment there, you made me think of an X post I saw this week. It said, "Give me your Mount Rushmore of cereal." There were some great responses there.
And mine would be so different from most people's, because none of those kid cereals are going to be on there. When I was a kid, I would rather have Grape Nuts than Frosted Flakes.
Was that you that said Grape Nuts?
Probably. I didn't respond to it. I just saw it, but I would have had Grape Nuts, Mucilix, all of the basically granola.
You were one of those kids.
Yeah. I like granola. Cereal is cheap imitation granola.
Yeah. Yeah.
But granola is also more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me, before we get into Cal a little bit here and some other games, you got the chance to see Deuce Knight last Friday night, close to Mobile. And we knew he was wearing an Auburn towel, and we saw he switched to an Ole Miss and maybe back to an Auburn. The decision is still out there, I think. But what did you think of his talent and his look?
He is very smooth. And I had heard some people that had concerns, I get, because they didn't see him play last year, and I haven't seen any highlights really, that he had accuracy issues. He did not. Now, they said he went to camps and he worked on that. His accuracy is outstanding. His touch is great. And when he throws the long ball, man, it just explodes out of his hand. It's like you're sitting there and he's, popping in the back of the pocket, trying to stay clean, which is hard to do with their offensive line. I was bigger than most of their offensive linemen.
Yeah.
And he was, good 2 inches taller than his offensive tackles.
Uh-huh.
And
was he a pocket guy, or did he throw off sidearm?
It's pocket, and then he scrambles when it breaks down. And he had one scramble that went 72 yards for a touchdown, but somebody on the back end of the play did a little holding, so they brought it back to the 30.
Yeah. I just had that vision in my head about, Cam Newton throwing off his back foot, throwing the deep ball.
I didn't see him have to do anything like that.
Yeah.
But when he runs, it will remind you a lot of that Cam thing where he looks like he doesn't move that fast, but he's leaving people behind. It's because he's got that long stride. He's listed as 6'4.5". Now, I've been I met Jason Campbell at the Senior Bowl, and that was the first time I really experienced what a 6'5" quarterback was like. My quarterback in high school was 5'8".
Yeah.
And then right next to him was Matt Jones, who was 6'6". He looks every bit as tall as Jason Campbell.
What did you think of last week against A&M? It seems like Auburn did what they needed to do. Mm-hmm. And what do you think? What are your keys going into Cal?
When was the last time we saw Auburn do what they needed to do against an opponent like that?
It's probably been a while, right?
Yeah. But what, maybe Cam? I'm sure Nick Marshall blew some teams out too. But it's been that long. Maybe Stidham, those years, we probably did some damage. Yeah, but we've struggled the last 8 years or so.
Yeah,
with teams that we should just be burying.
Right.
Well, we came out and buried them.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? Ole Miss, they came out and played a weak team too and buried them, and the scores were very similar. And Alabama did the same thing. In Georgia, yeah. Now, Clemson
I didn't get to see that second half, but apparently they wore Clemson out, right?
Yeah, just they did what they wanted to do. Clemson is not the Clemson of old, and as long as Dabo is going to be flaky and not do the portal and not do NIL and all that, and they're not ever going to be again.
Yeah.
But Georgia is. They are Georgia. They say Cal's expecting to run the same defense against us they did last year, crowd the box and dare Peyton Thorne to beat them. But what they're not prepared for is Peyton Thorne's probably going to beat them like a drum if they do that.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought it was interesting. I was talking to Byron Franklin also about what he found out was one of his distant relatives, Sam Jackson, who played at Cal, quarterback. And, and Sam Jackson was asked if he thought Cal would bring a lot of people to the ball game this weekend. And he kind of hesitated and said, not really.
Yeah.
So
they had 32,000 in attendance for the last week. The stadium seats 62,000. So they had about half capacity for their first game of the year.
They were still surfing.
Yeah. And we've been joking on Twitter back and forth with some Cal fans, and I brought up you had 32,000 at your opener. Auburn had about 32,000 at their spring game.